Okay, so we are going to start a chapter assets and bases, right? Assets and bases. This is a new chapter for you guys, and we are going to start with the word assets, right? हम इसको पहले assets से start करेंगे, and then we are moving towards bases. First of all, we need to start with assets, right? Assets. Now, why this is very important word asset, because we are using this in our daily life a lot, right? Assets बहुत ज़्यादा हम लोग use करते हैं अपने daily life में. We are using assets in our car batteries, like sulfuric acid is a part of our car battery. So this is one of the assets that we are using in our daily lives, and we use assets in our daily life, like we use multiple metals to wash with acids to remove the upper layers of rust over there. We use a lot of cleaning agent in our daily life that are the part of assets, right? So a lot of assets we are using in our daily life. That's why this word is very important for our life. Acid also present in many of the fruits, like आपके पास citrus fruits जितने भी होते हैं उसमें acids मौजूद होते हैं, right? मिल्क के अंदर लैक्टिक एसिड मौजूद होता है. उसके अलावा आपके स्टमक में HCl मौजूद होता है टू डाइजेस्ट फूड्स, राइट? बहुत सारी चीजें जो कि आप बगैर चबाए खा जाते हैं, तो उनको डाइजेस्ट करने के लिए आपके स्टमक में HCl मौजूद है. उसके अलावा आपके पास एसिड्स बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट, आपके पास एसिड्स हैं इस दुनिया के, ठीक है ना? एसिड्स आर एक्चुअली द इंपॉर्टेंट एसिड्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, राइट? सो यू नीड टू रिमेंबर दिस. एसिड्स पढ़ना हमारे लिए इसलिए जरूरी है. एंड वेरी कॉमन एसिड्स जो कि हम अपने लाइफ में यूज करते हैं, दैट इज विनेगर, कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड, जो हम डेली लाइफ में सिरका घर में कभी प्याज तो कभी मिर्ची और कभी नींबू उसके अंदर डाल के हम खाते हैं, राइट? सो दीज आर द एसिड्स that we are using in our daily life. So let's start with the word acid. What is the definition of this word? So if you talk about the definition of this word, so you can say that, bacho, substances, you can say that substances that produce H positive ions, right? Substances that produce H positive ions in the aqueous solution, right? In the aqueous solution is very important. If you write aqueous solution, that means you know the complete definition of acid. You need to remember this, but your acids are the substances that produce H positive ions in the aqueous solution. वो सारे substance acid होते हैं जिनको आप पानी में dissolve करो तो वो H ion produce करें. For example, if you have hydrogen chloride gas, you just place this gas into the water, you will see that it will produce hydrogen ions and chloride ions. So this means hydrogen chloride gas is acidic in nature. For example, if you talk about sulfuric acid, so sulfuric acid is actually going to produce two H ions in the solution and a sulfate ion. That means it is also an acid, right? Same as it is carbonic acid in our cold drinks. You can see this carbonic acid is H2CO3. When you dissolve this into water, so you will see that it will produce H positive ion and bicarbonate ion. So this is also an acid, right? And if you talk about vinegar that we use in our daily life, ethanoic acid, so when you dissolve this into the water, you will find it will produce ethanoate ions and H positive ions. So a lot of acids in our daily life and a lot of substances that produce H positive ion in the aqueous solutions are termed as acids. तो ये हैं acids, right? उसके अलावा बहुत सारी चीजें हमारे पास ऐसी होती हैं, जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल यू कैन इवन थिंक CH4 is acid. सर CH4 भी acid? No, CH4 is not acid. Not every compound having H or having hydrogen is acid, right? Not every compound having H is acid. Only such compounds are acid जो कि पानी में डिसॉल्व होने के बाद H पॉजिटिव आयन जनरेट करते हैं. सो यू नीड टू रिमेंबर दिस. हर वो कंपाउंड जिसके पास H है वो एसिड नहीं है. एसिड सिर्फ वो हैं जो पानी में डिसॉल्व होंगे, H पॉजिटिव आयन जनरेट करेंगे, सिर्फ वो एसिड्स होंगे. इज दैट क्लियर टू एवरीवन ऑफ यू?
Yes, sir.
We have one more definition, but so for acid, this is a new definition which is added in our syllabus, right, of May June 2023 to 2025, which is acids are, this is a new thing, right? Acids are proton donors. Acids are proton donors, right? Acid की एक और definition आप देख सकते हैं. Acids are proton donors. So substances that donate their H positive ion are actually acids, right? For example, if you talk about proton donor, what does this means? For example, if you have HCl, you just react with water, so you will see this, that this HCl will donate its positive H positive ion to the water. So it will be like this. पानी को अपना H positive देने के बाद पानी हो गया hydronium ion, and only chloride ion will remain. Why we are using the word proton donor over here? Because if you focus on H positive ion of acids, so it is H11 and positive like this. So you know that how many protons are there? We have one proton over there. If you talk about neutrons, so mass number subtracted proton number will give you 0 number of neutrons over there. And if you talk about electrons, so it is positively charged. The electron is donated over here, already donated by the hydrogen. So also we have 0 electrons. So in the overall H positive ion, we just have one proton. So whenever acid donate this H positive ion, it is actually means acid is actually donating proton, because nothing other than proton is there in the H positive ion. So that is why we can consider this is actually proton donation, right? But you can say that acids are the substances that are proton donor. Is that clear, Bachcho? So these are two different definitions of acid.
सर और फिर एसिड का के pH होता है 1 to 6
Yes.
और 7 होता है न्यूट्रलाइजेशन और बाकी उससे ऊपर होगा 7 to 49 वो अल्कलाई होगा ऐसा भी
But yes, but we are not talking about pH right now. We are just talking about the definition of acids, right? So we are going towards the pH as well later on, but right now don't think about pH right now. This is something different. Just talk about acids first. We need to be very clear in acids, then strong acids, then weak acids, then we will talk about pH, which is the strength of acids or bases, right? So don't worry about that. You are all very good. You are perfect. Your answer is right, but we will talk about this later on, right? So let's move towards something different. Just look at over here. So I'm just creating a difference over here, and you need to identify what is the difference over here, right? For example, if I'm writing the equation, dissociation equation, this is what? Dissociation equation, right? Dissociation equation means this is a breakdown, right? Dissociate. If I have HCl and it is added to the water and break down into H positive ion and chloride ions, right? If you talk about sulfuric acid, so if I add sulfuric acid into the water, so it will break down into H positive ions and sulfate ion. If you talk about nitric acid, which is HNO3, when I add this into the water, it will break down into H positive ion and nitrate ions, right? For example, if I have phosphoric acid, so if I add this into the water, so it will break down into H positive ions and phosphate ions, right? And if I have carbonic acid, which is H2CO3, if I add this into the water, it will be break down into H positive and HCO3 negative. If I have ethanoic acid, which is a vinegar, and I add this into the water, it will be break down into H positive and CH3 COO negative, right? For example, if I have H2S, I add this into the water, so it will be break down into H positive and HS negative, right? So what is the major difference between these two columns, right? Any one of you? I just want to ask from one of you. Abir is there, Adnan is there, Amreen, Aisha Khan. I just want to ask from Aisha Rehan. Yes, Aisha, can you answer this? What is the difference? What is the difference between these two columns?
Between which two?
Yes, between these two columns. Yes, Aisha, what is the difference between these two columns? Aisha, can you hear me?
Sir, there is no difference.
Okay. Okay, but so if you focus on the columns over here on the screen, so the very basic difference between these two columns is actually what? If you just focus over here, but so just look at over here, in the HCl we have one H and the H is separated, right? In H2SO4 we have two H's and all two H's are going to be separated. In HNO3 we just have one H and it is going to be separated. And if you talk about phosphoric acid, so we have three H's and all three acids are going to be separated. So you can write the definition over here that over here it is complete dissociation, right? Or the separation or ionization. This is complete, right? And if you talk about this one on the right hand side, so if you focus over here, but so we just have two hydrogens over here, about only one, which is actually half of the hydrogen ion over there in the equation is going to be separated. We have over here four hydrogens, and out of four we just have one hydrogen which is going to be separated, and over here we have two hydrogens and only one hydrogen is going to be separated. So there is not complete dissociation. So you can say that this is actually partial dissociation, but this is what? This is partial dissociation. So this is what you need to understand about the definition of weak and strong acids, but so the definition over here is obvious for you, so you can write the definition over here. But so the acids that dissociate completely, acids that dissociate completely are strong acids, right? So the acids that are going to be dissociate and produce the maximum number of ions that they can are actually strong acids. And the acids that dissociate partially, dissociate, or you can even use the word ionize. Acids that dissociate partially are weak acids, right? Are weak acids, right, Bacho? Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
So this is very important definition to remember. Partial dissociation or complete dissociation पेपर में बहुत आता है बच्चों, बहुत ज़्यादा आता है. One mark की definition बहुत आती है पेपर में, so you need to keep remember this as well. So keep remember the definition of acids, keep remember the definition of weak and strong acids. They can ask you in exam, and this is a very consistent part of the exam. So you need to keep remember the definition over here. Now let's talk about something about what? Something about physical properties. So let's talk about something physical properties. So Bacho, do you know the physical properties of acids? Any one of you? Yes, Abir, can you please tell me any one physical property of acids that you know?
They turn litmus paper red.
Yes, that is a physical property, but we will talk about this in the color changes, right? So after the physical properties, inshallah. But I want to know about their of physical appearance, their color, their taste, something like this.
They're sour.
They are sour in taste, right? So the taste is sour. We can say that they are sour in taste. Very good. Yes. Parva, can you please tell me anyone more? Yes, Parva, they are
Corrosive.
yes, they are corrosive and toxic. So if you touch them, you will be harmed, right? They are corrosive and toxic. Very good, right? Anyone from Maha? Yes, Maha, can you please tell me any physical property of acids?
They have pH less than 7.
Very good. pH less than 7. Fine. Okay. So anyone from Daniel? Daniel, can you please tell me? Daniel, Adnan, any one of you. You can say that soluble in water, definitely the gases or anything that will dissolve in water and produce as positive ion, then they will be acids, right? Then you can also say that acids can conduct electricity in aqueous state because they have ions, right? So acids can conduct electricity only in aqueous state. In aqueous state. क्या कह रहे हो बेटे?
No, sir, I
ये
was
कह रहे
saying
थे?
they conduct electricity, yes.
Yes, acids can conduct electricity in aqueous state only because aqueous state से पहले तो acid नहीं होगा तो anions नहीं होंगे तो electricity conduct नहीं हो सकती. So you need to keep remember this that acids can conduct electricity in only aqueous state. क्योंकि hydrogen chloride की अगर आप बात करेंगे तो hydrogen chloride is actually a gas. So अगर आप hydrogen chloride की बात करेंगे it will be like this, hydrogen chloride. So it is actually a gas before acid. It is actually a gas which is hydrogen chloride gas, right? When you dissolve this into the water, then it will produce H positive ions. That is why it becomes what? Acid. When hydrogen chloride is going to dissolve in water, it produces ions. That is why it can conduct electricity in aqueous state only, right? Not in the gaseous state. Is that clear to every one of you? Okay, so let's move towards some color changes. Yes, Abir was saying about some color changes. Yes, Abir, can you please tell me what you were talking about?
That acids, when they're used on litmus paper, they turn it red.
Yes, litmus paper is actually something you can say that litmus paper are of two types. We have two types of litmus papers, and in our chemistry lab, litmus papers, we have two types of litmus paper. One is made up of red. We have one litmus paper which is made up of red. You can use this right in the labs to identify the nature of the substance, right? And we have one more type of litmus paper in the lab which is actually blue in color. So you can use this one as well, right? So in the lab, in the chemistry lab, you will find two types of litmus paper. One should be blue, one should be red. So these two litmus paper you can use to find out the nature of any substance. So if you dip both of them into the acidic solution, so only one will work, right? Which is blue. So you can say that blue litmus changes to red. Blue litmus changes to red, right? So this is actually what you can use for the identification of the nature of the solutions. If you put the red litmus paper into the acidic solution, there will be no change because it is already red. So red will remain red in acids. But if you dip blue one into the acid, you will see that it will change its color to red. You will find it changing its color towards like this. It is going to be changes to red, right? And if you use red one into the alkali, so it will turn into blue, right? Then we have one more type of paper which is known as pH paper. We have one more type of paper which is known as pH paper, right?
It
pH paper.
changes. Sorry, sir. It changes red to blue.
Yes, you can say that it can change from red to blue. No, it has a multiple color over here, and it can only be changed into red as well, right? So if you talk about pH paper, so it has multiple layers or multiple colors on it, right? And when you dip into the solution, so it changes its color from lighter to the darker shade, right? So once you dip the pH paper into the solution, just take out this and match with the pH scale. We have pH scale as well. Just match the pH paper color with the pH scale. You will find the pH of the solution, right? So not only the nature of the solution, pH paper is actually telling you the exact pH of the solution as well, or nearly exact pH of the solution. So you can say that even you can identify the strength of the solution as well. You can identify either the solution is neutral or strong acid or weak base, or weak acid or strong base. You can identify this as well. So pH paper is one of the method as well to identify the pH as well. And if it is only yellow color, if you are using a pH paper which is of yellow color, only one color, so in acids it will be red, in acids it will be red or the shade of reds, and in bases it will be blue, right? So you need to keep remember this. If you are using only one color pH paper, which is of yellow, so in acid it will be red and the shades of red, and in alkali it will be blue or shade of blue, right? You can match this color with the pH scale, right? Over here on pH scale we have a lot of colors, right? And these colors are going to be used to identify the pH of the solution, right? We have different color on this pH scale. We have almost 14 units over here, right? And all the 14 units have different colors over there and on the pH scale, and whatever the color on pH paper just going to match with the color on the pH scale. Just pH का भी color same होगा, आप बोलेंगे इसकी pH कितनी है, right? So this is one of the method to identify the pH of the solution, right? You can even use pH meter, which is digital and very accurate. In nowadays we use pH meter. We just dip the meter and check the digital value on the meter. But this is one of the manual method. You can use this to identify the pH of the solutions, right, Bacho?
Sir,
Yes.
what is meant by pH?
pH is going to be discussed later on. Don't worry about that. So pH is actually, so pH paper turns red.
Power of hydrogen.
You can say that the power of hydrogen ions, right? We will discuss this later on. Don't worry about that. So next one is, Bacho, in the previous syllabus, we will have phenolphthalein, right? Phenolphthalein was a liquid indicator. This was a liquid indicator, a liquid solution, which changes color and tell you the nature of the solution, right? So nowadays we are using thymophthalein in our new syllabus. Thymophthalein. This is the new amendment in the syllabus. Thymophthalein, the new indicator in our syllabus. So it is, both of them are colorless in acid, right? Colorless in acid. Remember this, thymophthalein or whatever you have, phenolphthalein, both are colorless in the acid solution. If you add a few drops of phenolphthalein or thymophthalein in the acid, they both are colorless, right? And a very constant indicator in our syllabus is methyl orange, which is still over there in our syllabus, right? It is orange in color, but it is orange itself in color, but when you add this into the acid, it will turn red, right? So you can say that red in acid, right? It is orange in its own color, but it will turn red when you add few drops of this into the acid, right, Bacho? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Any problem to any one of you? Everything is clear to all of you? Okay, so Bacho, let's move towards the chemical properties that are more important and the most important thing of your chapter, right? And all you are going to be clear with these chemical properties in the chapter, and you will be a little bit relaxed once you did this, right? So let's talk about chemical properties of acids, right? We have actually 3 chemical properties of acids in our syllabus, right? Chemical properties of acids that we need to discuss, right? Number 1 is when any acid is going to react with metal, if metal is going to be react with acid, if metal is capable to react, so definitely it will produce salt and hydrogen gas. You need to keep remember this. It is very important. You need to learn this, right? This is the fact, right? So then second one is, for example, if any acid going to react with the substance, which is actually metal carbonate. Carbonate is CO3. When any metal reacts with CO3 form metal carbonate, so when that substance is going to react with acid, it will form what?
Salt plus water.
Carbon dioxide and water, right? Carbon dioxide is the
Yes.
most important product over here. Then if you have only acid and base, or you can say that acids or alkali, right? So
Yeah,
it will
equal to
produce what?
it will give salt plus water only.
Yes, it will produce salt and water only. So these are 3 chemical properties that you need to keep remember for the acid chemical properties. बच्चों ये organic में भी आपके काम आएंगी, वहां पर भी हमें पढ़नी होंगी, ठीक है ना? So you need to keep remember कि आपके पास ये 3 chemical properties हैं, इसके अलावा कोई chemical property नहीं है. If I talk about like बच्चों के अगर आपके पास एग्जाम में लिखा हुआ आ जाए या आपके पास एमसीक्यूज में लिखा हुआ आ जाए दैट acid is reacting with metal nitrate, right? You need to keep remember this, there is no reaction, right? So don't worry about that, just write down there is no reaction, right? So only 3 reactions we need to study about acids, right? That metal के साथ react करेगा, metal carbonate के साथ करेगा, और metal या metal hydroxide बोल सकते हैं इसको आप, या metal hydroxide और metal oxide भी आप इसको बोल सकते हैं, ठीक है बच्चों? स्टार्ट करें, फर्स्ट से स्टार्ट करते हैं. व्हाट डू यू से बच्चों? यू ऑल आर रेडी फॉर दैट? लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट वन. व्हाट डू यू से? यस बच्चों, कैन वी स्टार्ट?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
चलें, लेट्स स्टार्ट विद द फर्स्ट वन, एसिड्स प्लस मेटल. देखें, पहले तो मैं आपको क्लियर कर दूं कि ये एसिड मेटल्स के साथ रिएक्शन करते हैं और किन किन मेटल्स के साथ कर सकते हैं. एसिड्स प्लस metals, right? क्या बनेगा आपके पास बच्चों? You will have salt and hydrogen gas. This is the fixed ratio of the or you can say that the fixed ratio of the products and the fixed products of this reaction. ये हमेशा ऐसी ही बनेंगी, but you need to keep remember कि आपके पास metals react कौन कौन से करेंगे बच्चों. So if you talk about reactivity series, you need to keep remember few metals in our syllabus: potassium, sodium, calcium,
मैग्नीशियम,
यस मेजल में आ जाएंगे मैग्नीशियम, एल्युमिनियम, जिंक, आयरन एंड लेड, राइट? और उसके बाद आपके पास आएगा कॉपर, सिल्वर, गोल्ड,
आर्गन,
दीज आर आर्गन नहीं बेटा, ये आपके पास गोल्ड है, ठीक है? आर्गन तो गैस होती है ना, वो तो ग्रुप 8 की गैस होगी, तो वो तो वैसे भी न्यूट्रल ही होती है, ठीक है ना? वो तो किसी से भी रिएक्ट नहीं करती. So these are actually metals that are going to be react or they are going to be talk about in reactivity series. तो इनमें से कुछ आपके पास ये जो 3 हैं, they are highly reactive, बहुत ज्यादा रिएक्टिव हैं, बहुत ज्यादा. इवन कि आपके पास जो सोडियम होता है, we cannot hold them in our hands, right? Because वो हमारे
यस,
हाथ के मॉइस्चर से रिएक्ट कर जाएगा, ठीक है ना? इतना ज्यादा रिएक्टिव होता है. तो यू कैन इवन इमेजिन, अगर वो ठंडे पानी से रिएक्ट कर सकता है, वो आपके हाथ के मॉइस्चर से रिएक्ट कर सकता है. तो कैन यू प्लीज इमेजिन कि आप क्या उसको एसिड से रिएक्शन लेबोरेटरी में कराओगे तो क्या हाल होगा? धमाका भी हो सकता है, एक्सप्लोजिव भी हो सकता है. तो हम उसको लैब में यूज नहीं करते. ये मैं इसलिए बता रहा हूँ ताकि आपको सॉल्ट्स में याद है. अभी तो आप रिएक्शन देख सकते हैं, इसका कोई इशू नहीं है, लेकिन जब आप लैब में इसको करते हैं तो वी कैन नॉट डू दिस इन द लैब. और इफ यू हैव रिएक्शन इन द लैब, सो वी मस्ट हैव समथिंग सपोर्टिव व्हिच वी यूज like fume cupboards or like something which should save ourselves, right? तो कुछ ऐसा होना चाहिए, समथिंग शील्डिंग टाइप, जो कि हमें सेव कर सके ना, तो फिर हम ये रिएक्शन कर सकते हैं. अदरवाइज इट
प्रोडक्टिव
विल
ग्लासेस जैसे.
नहीं, प्रोडक्टिव ग्लासेस से भी आप सिर्फ अपनी आंखें ही सेव कर सकते हो ना, और अपने आप को सेव नहीं कर सकते ना. सो फॉर दैट यू मस्ट हैव समथिंग शील्ड व्हिच सेव कंप्लीटली योरसेल्फ, राइट? तो हम फ्यूम कबर्ड में इसको रिएक्शन को कर सकते हैं. तो रिएक्शन फ्यूम कबर्ड में होगा तो यू आर आउट फ्रॉम द कबर्ड, सो डेफिनेटली you can see this through the glass, but you are not over there to be disturbed, or you are not going to be affected, right? So this 5 metals which are metal are actually moderate reactive. You can easily react them with acid. They are moderate reactive, right? So these are going to be react 3 and 5. 8 metals are going to be react with acids over here in this property, and these 3 are least reactive, so they are not going to react with dilute acids. So you can say that no reaction with dilute acid, no reaction with dilute acids. That is why we are able to use them in jewelries, or we are going to use them very openly, right? अब कॉपर है या गोल्ड है या सिल्वर है, इनकी ज्वेलरीज वगैरह हम बड़े आराम से पहन लेते हैं गर्मियों में, सर्दियों में.
dilute acid.
क्या कह रहे बेटे?
Dilute acid.
डाइल्यूट एसिड हम यूज करेंगे ना, हम लैब में कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड यूज नहीं कर सकते.
No, what is meant by dilute acid?
डाइल्यूट मतलब जिसमें इंटेंसिटी एसिड की कम हो, ठीक है ना, पानी ज्यादा हो, ठीक है?
Okay.
डाइल्यूट एसिड्स ऐसे एसिड्स होते हैं जिसमें आप पानी ज्यादा डालते हो और उसकी इंटेंसिटी हम कम कर देते हैं ताकि हम इजीली यूज कर लें. अगर फॉर एग्जांपल आप कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड एसिड की बात करते हो, तो अगर आपकी उस पर फिंगर टच हो गई तो आपकी फिंगर जल सकती है, ठीक है ना? बट डाइल्यूट में पानी ज्यादा होता है, तो काम तो वो करके दिखाएगा अपना, लेकिन बहुत कम उसकी जो है इंटेंसिटी होगी, ठीक है? तो कम इंटेंसिटी वाले एसिड्स के साथ कॉपर, सिल्वर, गोल्ड नहीं रिएक्ट कर सकते, ना ही पानी के साथ करते हैं. ठंडे गर्म दोनों पानी के साथ नहीं करते हैं. That is why we can easily wear gold and silver on our bodies. तो तो हमें perspiration भी हो तो उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, वो रिएक्ट ही नहीं करते ना वो खराब होते हैं, ठीक है बच्चों. So that is why they are termed as noble metals. We can simply use them in any type of jewelry, right? So right now we are talking about the starting 8 elements. So these can react only with acid, and the rest of 3 in the last they are not able to react, right? So ये मैं सिर्फ इसलिए बता रहा हूँ ताकि आपको याद रहे, क्योंकि आगे जाके चैप्टर में काम आ सकता है, किसी और चैप्टर में एसिड बेसिस में काम आ सकता है, सॉल्ट्स में काम आ सकता है, ठीक है, तो आपने याद रखना है. Now बच्चों, I have for example I have HCl, right? If I react HCl with zinc, right? If I react HCl with zinc, so it will form what? It will form a zinc chloride and hydrogen gas. Now, how do I know that ये product बनेगी? और balancing में यहाँ 2 लगाऊंगा, balance हो जाएगा. How do I know that it is aqueous
Because
solid, it is aqueous, and it is gaseous, right? So these are the things that you need to learn, that you need to understand in this chapter, because it is very important. It is basic about chemical equations. So these are the things. Now, इसके लिए सबसे पहले बात आपको पता होनी चाहिए बच्चों, what is salt? Salt की definition आपको पहले पता होगी, then you can form salts over here. Otherwise, you cannot form the salts, right? What is salt, बच्चों? Salt is something like when one or more than one H positive ion from acid are replaced by metal, right? Or metal ion, or you can say that ammonium ion. Whenever ammonium ion or any metal ion replaces H from the acids, we are going to form salt, right? So you need to keep remember, bachcho, that this H present over here, you can see this H is going to replace by metal, and we just have metal over here, which is zinc. So when zinc replaces H of the acid, so it will form the salt, right? So this is actually the salt. So you must need to understand that how do you form the salt. First of all, the formation of salt is very important. If you are able to form the salts, then you can do anything, right? So just remember this. How do you write the formula of salt? So you need to keep remember chloride is negative, right? And zinc is 2+. So this is the charge on these two different ions. So this 1 will be over here, this 2 will be over here. Only the numbers, not charges, right? The formula between these two guys is zinc chloride, right? For example, if I use some different metals, right? For example, if I use iron, so the charge on iron is also 2+, and the charge on chloride is still -1. So there's 2 over here, there's 1 over here. So the formula will be FeCl2. For suppose that I just use ammonia over here. So ammonia is from group number 3. So if you talk about group number 3, it has a +3 charge. And if it reacts with chloride ion, so there's 3 over here, there's 1 over here, and it will be ammonium chloride. If you talk about potassium, the potassium is from group number 1. So group number 1 means it has 1 electron in the outermost shell. So it must lose that electron to become potassium +1. And if you talk about chloride, -1. So you can see this, the charges are opposite and the numbers are same. जब नंबर सेम होते हैं तो we just combine them, right? Even चाहे वो +2 or -2 क्यों ना होता. For example, if you have calcium 2+, if you have sulfur 2-, so charges are opposite and the numbers are same, so we just combine them like this. जी बेटे.
अगर चार्जेस डिफरेंट होते हैं तो वो कैंसिल करते हैं एक दूसरे को.
Yes, charges तो कैंसिल कर देते हैं, इसलिए हम charges लिख नहीं रहे ना, हम सिर्फ नंबर लिख रहे हैं, ठीक है? Clear है बच्चों? Yes. Now let's talk about some reactions now. I think you can do this now. Just look at over here, बच्चों, what you need to understand. For example, if I have HCl over here, मेरे पास HCl है, right? And we know that HCl is acid, right? For example, if I add over here calcium, if I add calcium over here, so now your first thing to understand is, sir, this is acid and this is metal. So you identify actually the reactants.
Salt.
So you must need to remember what are the products, salts and hydrogen.
So
Yes,
calcium chloride.
Yes, सबसे पहले तो आप लिख लें हाइड्रोजन गैस ना, जो कि फिक्स है, बनेगी तो इसका फॉर्मूला यही रहेगा. फिर बचा कि आपके पास कैल्शियम और क्लोरीन, तो ये कैल्शियम और क्लोरीन आपस में मिलेंगे. तो द चार्ज ऑन कैल्शियम इज 2+, and the charge on chlorine is 1 minus. So 1 over here, 2 over here. So the salt will be calcium chloride. Is that right, bacho?
Yes.
Now you can see this, bacho, that we have 2 chlorines over here and 2 hydrogens. So for the balancing over here, we can simply write 2 over here. In this way, this will be balanced. And remember always, acids are always aqueous because they will dissolve in water and produce H positive ions. And metals are always solid. And this is soluble salt. You will learn this in the salts. Don't worry about that. And hydrogen is always a gas. Ji bete.
Why did you put 2 before HCl and not before Ca?
Yes, we just need to balance the numbers over here. We just need to balance the elements over here. Just look at over here the number of calcium. कितने calcium है आपके पास?
1.
और यहाँ कितने?
1.
So do we need to balance this?
No.
So why we write before calcium? You don't need to write before calcium because it is already balanced on both sides. On both sides, the calcium is balanced. There are 1 calcium on both sides, so we don't need to balance. But if you talk about hydrogen and chlorine on the right hand side, they are 2 both, and on the left hand side it was 1 1. So I just write 2 over there to balance the hydrogen and chlorine on the left hand side. Clear, Bacho?
Yes.
Now I just want you guys to write the reaction of HCl with sodium, potassium, magnesium, aluminum, and lead. Just try to write the equations quickly, bacho. Write the equations of HCl with these 5 metals and balance these equations and send me on my WhatsApp so I can check you are getting the point or not. Just do it quick. Just write down the equations, these 5 equations, balance them, send me on my WhatsApp. I am waiting. Just do it quick.